Koshebe village in Mafa, barely 27 kilometers away from Maiduguri, is one of the latest strongholds of the insurgents. Residents of the neighboring Zabarmari village have fled their town for fear of further attacks from the assailants just few kilometers away. Some of the fleeing locals do not feel safe even in Maiduguri, the state capital.
Boko Haram came in 2 guerrilla fighter cars and 2 armored tanks. I am going to Maiduguri and from there I'll proceed to Kano. It was around 5 p.m. yesterday when Boko Haram came and started shooting. Our soldiers tried their best, but they were overpowered and the insurgents entered our town. We saw 7 corpses.
Residents say Friday night's experience could have been worse if the small army unit military had not stood its ground until they were eventually overwhelmed.
Yesterday, God helped our army, and if not for their effort, more than 1,000 people could have died. The soldiers took 2 armored tanks and engaged the insurgents, and we scampered for safety. 5 more armored tanks came in around 10 p.m. We thank God, and we thank our soldiers. I cannot quantify how many they were because they were shelling us from all angles like rain. The captain in charge stood his ground and they exchanged fire non-stop for at least 2 hours. At the city gate, they fired at our machine gun and it stopped working. So we faced them, but by then the magazines of most of the soldiers had been exhausted and we began to retreat.
Governor Kashim Shettima remains optimistic that the insurgents are losing the war.
The LGU said 1 life lost in cold blood is as gruesome as millions lost in a pogrom. Let's not talk about numbers, but let's be honest. 7 is still a much more lower figure compared to the casualty figures we suffered in Kukawa, in Mongono, and at the Mona garage. So only 7 people lost their lives. About 10 sustained injuries, but you have had them paying tribute to some of the officers. As a result of embarrassing them, I have to mention of 1 Colonel Abubakar and 1 Captain Miller and their men. So I want to thank them and the GOC on behalf of the government and people of Borno State.
Governor Shettima equally assured hundreds of locals taking refuge in a school in Old Maiduguri to return home. The 7th Division of the Nigerian Army in Maiduguri has since sent reinforcements to boost the fighting power of the troops on the ground.